you have a situation in California is a prime example that something like this could go nationwide. Environmentalists get grants and government funds. We're paying for these people to do these crazy frog things and fish things and whatever, and they decided that the little Delta smeltfish was in trouble.
Yeah.
So consequently, what happened was they got to Washington, and they successfully cut off the water to all the farmers in the middle of California and turned that back into the desert that it was to begin with. So therefore, you have all this food production is gone in California. So what are they sending to Peru for the food now? You know, again, we're consuming instead of producing because of what probably started as a grant for this, and environmentalists, and then they went to Washington to lobby, and they got somebody to pass this crazy thing, and they cut off the water to a phenomenal amount of food that was produced, that we were producing ourselves.
Mm-hmm. I'm very familiar with what is going on in California.
Mm-hmm.
The grant programs, which I agree probably was the forefront of those movements. We have to come to some reality here in this nation. We can't keep spending money for obscure programs that really benefit the nation or the people of this nation very little. Those types of issues, I think, are best left to whoever wants to pay for it. If somebody is that concerned about the smelt down there, the Delta smelt, that they want to go and do research on how many are alive, which way they're swimming, what direction, how many years it takes to produce so many smelt, let them pay for it. Mm-hmm. The American public doesn't need to be the ones paying for it. In reference to the San Joaquin Valley and the Delta smelt, I'm going to have to say common sense dictates man comes before the Delta smelt. I mean, it's logical. Now, I agree with you, they've taken it to the extreme, and I don't mean to say that we shouldn't be good stewards of the environment. We should be good stewards of the environment. But let's face it, who's running the planet? The smelt or the human beings? And what is going to be the problem if they effectively eliminate the smelt, which won't happen anyway, but even if it did, there have been thousands upon thousands upon thousands of species that have gone extinct on this planet for a long, long, long time before we were even here. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a natural progression of evolution that you can't try to protect a species at the expense of man. It's not fair to the people down in San Joaquin, in the valley, and there's like 60 to 70% of the people that aren't working now because they can't get the water that they need. Mm-hmm. Plus, like you said, the product that they put out of those fields fed a lot of Americans. I mean, a lot of Americans, and it was fairly cheap in comparison. Mm-hmm. And they put people to work. Why wouldn't a common sense person think that that is more important than saving a fish? Mm-hmm. The Las Vegas Water Conservation District, I think is what it's called. They're behind a lot of the underpinnings and manipulating the system to try to get northern Nevada's water. Mm-hmm. I know that. And this is probably going to be very discouraging to the people in Las Vegas. My view is that we have a right to our water too. And I understand they have a problem down in Las Vegas. They need the water also. But controlled growth requires you to be responsible and understand that the resources that you have coming in to sustain that growth must be balanced with the growth that you have. Apparently, they didn't think about that on the growth issue when they were growing so large, to understand that you have to have some modicum of control and understanding that you only have so many resources, and if you don't have those resources, you have to control that growth. Now they're in a bind. They want more and more water. Well, maybe they need to entertain a desalinization plant in conjunction with California. I don't know, and there are some plants that operate around the country. I think St. Petersburg has one. They put out a lot of water. Mm-hmm. Expensive? Yes. But if they would have controlled their growth and understood the circumstances prior to growing so heavily, mm-hmm. maybe they could have dealt with it then more appropriately. And now they want the northern Nevadans to pay the tab for them? I don't think that's right.
A lot of similarities there between when California was doing the same thing. You know, LA was growing and they wanted to pull all the water down from Northern California to Southern California. Do you think maybe the legislatures in Washington don't understand the principle that history repeats itself?
Very much so. They don't understand that. And they also don't learn from the history that is there for the taking to learn. I got to wonder, you know, we always hear that these congressmen and senators, that they haven't read the bill. I'm going to wonder if they can read it all, because they ought to be reading history, because it teaches us a lot of lessons. If you just want to open your heart, open your eyes, and open your mind and read it. So I wonder about that. Now, as far as down in Las Vegas, it is very similar to Los Angeles. In a lot of respects, some of the problems that they're experiencing in Los Angeles and in California have just moved across the border into Nevada, along with a lot of the population. Now, in Las Vegas, and I read an article concerning the water issue that just came up a couple months ago in a lawsuit. And one of the things that I found interesting is that Las Vegas has lost a lot of people, yet their required resources are going up. Well, if you have less people, you need less water. But they don't want to put that out to anybody. Mm-hmm. So are they being disingenuous maybe? I don't know. But I'm realistic to understand that if you have less people, you need less water. Mm-hmm.